Welcome to Two Chaps Meet Cultures. Today we will be talking about the drinking culture, where it exists, how it exists, blow up some stereotypes, and talk about what to do if you find yourself trapped in a drinking situation and you don't want to partake. Stick around. Or not. Hey there, it's Brett and Christian, Two Chaps Many Cultures, coming to you live from the Two Chaps Towers, episode 106.
Cheers, mate.
To you. This is a show where we talk about the business of culture and the culture of business, and just pontificate on perhaps our observations and insights, doing the work in the intercultural field that we do. How are you today, sir?
I am magnificent after a long holiday weekend in the United States. I feel very relaxed, not really ready to go back to work, matter of fact. Maybe it was all the drinking that did I say that? No, it was only, no, it did not. Let us know where you're dialing in from, dear fans and friends and just people out there, global people. Put it in the comment chat box or whatever that thing is underneath our two talking heads. You can type it in. You can say, hello. You can say, sort off, people. We don't want to listen to you anymore. You can type in, hey, cheers. Or you can say, no, I don't drink. Drinking is bad.
That's right.
And you can like us. You can applaud. You can whatever, your social media thingy has some icons that you can hit. It would help us because, engagement. Be engaged, people. We want to hear from you. Where in the world are you? And is it safe to drink where you are?
That's right. Get the knowledge out there. But of course, you're German, Christian. So don't all Germans just drink every day?
Yeah, we do. We actually drink every day, and it really depends on whether you like alcohol or not, but we do imbibe liquids every day. That one thing is for certain. We do not drink alcohol every day. At least I know I don't, and I know a lot of people who don't, and that's a common misperception. Actually, a lot of the training programs that I've been doing over the past, decade plus, when people were getting ready to move to a German-speaking country, there was often this question, well, am I going to be expected to partake in the alcoholic beverages that are going to be shared around the lunch table or after work? And I say, well, first of all, lunch table and alcohol, very unlikely to happen in Germany. I mean, there might be occasions where that still is a thing, depending on the industry. But work hour drinking, not so cool anymore. It was different back when I grew up and when my parents grew up and back in the good old days. No, but it's. I think there's a lot of myths circling around these drinking cultures, and whether it's Germany or Eastern Europe, several Asian countries would come to mind where there is a perceived drinking culture. I think the nuance is where you want to pay close attention to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, being an Aussie, of course, everybody seems to have a story about bumping into Aussies in some place in the world, and they just expect that we all just party non-stop. But, of course, when you're meeting people in that setting, that's kind of holiday stuff, right? That's people relaxing and having a good time. But what we're kind of drilling down into here is that, as Christian says, there are some nuances to this. So when it comes to business, certainly in my early career in Australia, there was lunchtime drinking, quite a bit of it actually. But again, nowadays, Yeah, not so much. You know, it seems to have moved into the realm of more evening entertaining. And while the drinking part of it is what it is, but it is designed to, obviously in some cultures, to create that connection, because the blurred lines that exist between work and socializing sometimes come up. And you know, you might hear stories about that's where the deal is done, on the back of a napkin. You know, I've sold things on the back of napkins in bars, but a long time ago, right? But so the nuances do exist. And even in my time in China, you know, I came with that preconception of going to China and having to partake of the rice wine and the beer. And then I learned the actual tricks about being able to avoid it. And no, it was pretty good. I managed to have a bit more of a clear-headed time and enjoy my time there. But it does come up a lot in our training sessions.
And in my experience has been, how does a society, how does a group of people, a culture, value sobriety and a clean mind, and when is it appropriate to well, inebriate yourself a little bit in order to, as Brett said, blur the lines a little bit? So alcohol is mind altering, and so are other drugs. And in many cultures, alcohol is a permissible drug per se. It is oftentimes taxed, and therefore the government participates in the marketing and sales of that product. So how does a culture approach the fact that we alter our minds deliberately with a beverage, right? And in many cultures there are rituals or rules around that. It is often ritualistic. In other cultures, the values system, or maybe the religion that is very dominant in a certain culture, or can be dominant in a certain culture, will prevent people from doing that, at least not publicly, or they won't do it so others can know about it. They may do it in secret, because there's values that do not allow the members of the group to alter their cognitive abilities through alcohol, right? So a lot of how we allow ourselves to be not sober is defined by our surroundings. And in my culture and in German culture, alcohol has been a part of our nutritional canon, if you will, right? So there's a variety, there's a menu of things you can eat and drink, and beer is also wine in certain regions in Germany, but beer is something that has been around and religiously okayed, so to say, by Christianity. So it carries a nutritional value. It was part of the menu, so to say. So for me, growing up with this, it was never tabooed. It was never regulated into an area of, oh, this is potentially bad for you. You must not do this. But then I quickly learned as a young adult moving into North America, of course, there's also alcohol that it's part of the menu, but it's much more, the access to it is much more restricted than it is in Central Europe. And there are other value systems and other rules that surround it, right? And then you go to predominantly Muslimic countries. You go to Saudi Arabia, you go to Iran, you go to, I don't know, other areas around the Persian Gulf, and you will recognize that alcohol is outlawed. You cannot even bring in like chocolates that are filled with alcohol, or you cannot even bring in, I don't know, a salad dressing that is based on white wine vinegar, right? So there's rules, values, rituals that surround the consumption of alcohol.
Yeah, and we call these the actual setting that you do this. We refer to these as universalistic and situational cultures, right? So a situational culture is where it is appropriate to actually imbibe alcohol is usually outside of the office, because the situation inside the office is maybe quite formal. It's one that's very buttoned down, it's very quiet, it's very hierarchical. Therefore, to actually let your guard down, imbibe something that would alter your mind, where you might do something inappropriate, is not is situationally inappropriate. So, but outside of that, when you go to the bar, that's the time when, even when you're around the people that you might report to, it is appropriate to, you know, take the necktie off, kick back a little bit, and you know, show your true self, really, the actual the person that you are. And so these are, it's very important why I often advise somebody to get a cultural concierge in these cultures, just to advise what is those situations where it is appropriate and it's not appropriate to do this. And they can also be your preparatory guide to avoid. If people don't, you know, often people don't drink at all, and they are a little bit intimidated when they know they're going to a culture where they feel there's an expectation that if they don't, they're not being part of the crew. There's a whole Seinfeld episode with George Costanza about this, by the way. And so, but it is a situation where it can be uncomfortable unless you do the due diligence beforehand, and perhaps have somebody on your side to help you navigate through that. And that's, you know, these can be very country specific. They can even be region specific in different countries. Yeah.
And I think in a lot of these, in a lot of cultures where there is either a strong hierarchy or a high level of formality in the workplace, alcohol consumption outside of work is the escape for that. So it can be the pop-off valve for the people in the organization, so they go outside of work to let off some steam or to let down their guard, because it is known, it is comfortable, it is familiar for people in this culture that in this environment I am working, I'm buttoned up and I'm formal and I respect the hierarchies, and in that environment I am allowed within this context to let down my guard a little bit. Sometimes as an outsider coming in, we might not recognize that the in-group people, the people who, the environment that we're entering, they know that we're outsiders and they're putting us to the test, right? Yeah. So it's sometimes hard to find out whether, well, are they being good hosts, or are they trying to lower the barrier of entry for us, or are they actually running us through an off-work obstacle course to see how we handle ourselves, to find out, well, what is Brett and what is Christian really like after X amount of these beverages, and will they partake? What will they have learned? What will the concierge have told them? How much did they study up for this occasion? And how do they show up once the resistance has been lowered by the inebriation? And that can be a very tricky area, right?
Absolutely, because people respond different ways to different mind-altering, you know, substances like alcohol. So, you know, the brain is a funny thing. So, and personalities do kind of get exacerbated in those situations. So you've got to kind of know your own limitations, even if you do drink, you know, to that extent. You know, I should tell you about my first time in Poland, going to a wedding where I think your reference to actually the testing was really on display, because I was then, you know, you could have taken that situation, put it into a business setting, you know, and where the same thing could have applied, where there would have been this expectation that, okay, we're going to test this guy out, right? We're going to test this guy or girl out and to see what their limits are and to see what their appropriate response is in this case. So, you know, knowing yourself, like we always say, right? Knowing thyself, even in this situation, is the most important thing to do, and to know your limitations, and you know, don't, you know, you can explore different limits, but you know, it's probably not the place to experiment with those limits when you're in a very foreign environment. Exactly. Right, in culture, and that's where it gets very, very tricky.
And it does get, I think, additionally tricky if you enter a culture where you think that, okay, this is a buttoned up, hierarchical, structured, formal culture, and the drinking scenario allows me to bypass some of these rules. You might easily be misled. So I've been in situations with partners from Asia in an Asian context where I mistakenly thought it's now gloves are off, formalities off. I can take my jacket and the tie off, and now we're buddies because we're drinking. No, we're not, because there is still a hierarchy, and you may not recognize it. The hierarchy is set by where are the people placed around the table, and how, for instance, are they clinking their glasses. So if you're entering the room and you don't know who is who, just watch how they clink their glasses, because there is going to be almost a competition who can go lower when there's, I only had brought one glass. So let's assume my phone is the other glass. So the one who's going lower and who's holding their glass lower when they clink or when they cheer to each other is the one that ranks lower in hierarchy. It's a sign of deference. It's a gesture. If you don't pay close attention, you won't see that. And sometimes there is this, how low can we go? Because we all want to be very humble in that situation. Alcohol humbles us, right? Or sometimes it gets you cocky if you're the outsider not knowing what these unwritten rules are. Again, talk to your concierge.
Cheers. Take him out for a drink.
Maybe.
Why not?
Why not?
It's very important. And you know, I mean, you will make mistakes. Don't be afraid of the mistakes. But, try and limit them to whatever is inside your limits. That's all we say. And I'm assuming that's agreement.
That's agreement. This animal right there is recognizing that it has reached its limit and is now letting the world know that this is it. I've had it. I'm going home to sleep this off.
Having just observed the Höferle family over the weekend, enjoying a long weekend. Maybe that's it.
Exactly. He's had it. He's had it.
He's had it. Now, that's it. Stop it, you people.
I think it's also, it would behoove us, or I think it would be smart for us to mention that there's no drinking yes or no. It's not a black and white scenario, right? So just like in my culture in Germany, you may drink with people and it may help you build rapport and deepen the trust. However, it will not necessarily hurt you if you refuse to participate. It's perfectly okay to drink something non-alcoholic in the presence of drinkers, right? You don't have to be militant about it, or nobody will be militant about it. And if you go to Mediterranean countries, whether it be Spain, Portugal, is Portugal Mediterranean? Probably not. But you know what I'm talking about. You go to Greece.
It is if we say so. It is if we say so. We're the culture people.
Looking at the map, I think Portugal is not really Mediterranean. But in any case, so when you're in cultures that have had a long tradition of in producing alcohol, high quality product, whether it be wine, beer, or high percentage spirits, if there's a tradition in producing that, it typically goes along with a sense of pride. There's a cultural pride around the product of the group. We make this, therefore this is part of who we are, right? So at least having the courtesy of showing curiosity around it, even if maybe your religion or your body won't allow you to consume it, you still can show an interest in it and inquire about how is this relevant to your culture? How does this set you apart from your neighbors? Or how is the wine or beer, whatever that's produced in this pocket of your culture, different from the other pocket? And why does it matter? And why should I care as a visitor? So whether you drink or not, your curiosity in the product may signal to the group, to the people that you're building trust with, that you're curious, that you want to understand the relevance of this. Whether you want to drink it or not, or whether you're allowed to drink it or not, may not be as important.
That's right. In this case, curiosity may not kill the cat, may we say.
The curiosity, if fulfilled and indulged in at a degree that is unhealthy for the cat, may kill it, right? So make sure how much curiosity you imbibe. So,
absolutely. So tell us about your experience in navigating this often tricky and misunderstood part of cultures where you could get stuck or actually have a great time.
Yeah.
So
we would love to know it.
we
Hear
would love
about
to
it.
know. Absolutely.
Or maybe you send us an email if you're not happy broadcasting this, or let everybody else read. But you may remember you may remember us talking about vulnerability. So that will be your chance to be vulnerable right now and just lay it all out. We won't judge.
We won't.
No.
Absolutely not. No judgment zone here at Two Chaps Many Cultures Towers. No judgment at all.
No.
All right, guys.
I'll have a drink now. Another fresh glass of water, just to be safe.
As you should. As you should. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you, no doubt, tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.